Hey guys, Dr. Ashley here. I have a friend who recently got sick and has a lot of medical bills. And so I started thinking about how I paid off my own medical bills and kind of what were the steps that were involved. So I wanted to share a little bit of that story with you because I really never talked about it. So if you don't know me, I had finished medical school, had done a bunch of budgeting. I had this book from Dave Ramsey. I had my plan for how things were going to go. I had 1 month. I had all my bills and it's checks from graduation that were going to last me 1 month because I knew I wasn't going to be paid till the end of the next month that I started working. I had a great plan. It was going to be good. And then instead I got sick. And so I got admitted to the hospital for 2 weeks with bacterial meningitis. It was a mess. There were a lot of complications. There was a lot of images and studies and all kinds of things. And I was very lucky when I walked out of the hospital 2 weeks later with very few. Uh, I could it could have been a lot worse. Let's put it that way. So the fact that I'm alive, I'm very lucky. But then things kind of just went downhill, right? So most doctors don't really know much about the financial side of medicine. We have no idea what you're being charged for things. We have no idea what how much something costs. We have nothing to do with how much you're billed. So this was me seeing the whole opposite side of medicine right before I even started working as a doctor. And so what I did was just kind of start looking in places I knew. The only financial training I had was from Dave Ramsey. So what he says is if you have this like catastrophically huge bill, like I soon got in the mail, the first one was $57,000. Yippee! He says if you have these big catastrophic bills, what you do is you just get a new job. And that, was really not a possibility. So the way this went down is I essentially tried to go to work as a doctor, lasted 3 days, was really having too many struggles to be able to keep up with my patients safely and effectively, and was pulled off work. And I was pulled off work until I could be cleared by some cognitive testing to return to work. So they were hoping I could one day go back to work, Lord knows when. Right. And this was all predicated on whenever I could get my insurance in, which obviously took weeks. So I'm just sitting at home, not really thinking about much, and I start getting medical bills in. And I can't get a new job because I have a job. I am hired to be a resident for the next 3 years. I have a salary, I have a theoretical paycheck, but because I'm not actually working the job, I'm not going to get a paycheck. I'm not going to get anything. But I can't go get another job because I have a job. It was really fun. Um, it really wasn't fun at all. But anyway, so I can't really go get another job because what am I going to do? Say, oh hi, I'd like to apply at McDonald's, and they're going to say you just finished medical school, you can't work here, right? And why did you leave your old job? Oh well, because I have a brain injury. Well, you clearly can't work here, right? Like there wasn't a whole lot of way for me to get a new job is the gist of it. Now nowadays there are a lot of like easier jobs that you can do on the side. Like you could drive for Uber or you could, do some deliveries or something like that. That just wasn't a thing 15 years ago. So I really was stuck with no income for a while there. The second thing, you're supposed to concentrate on snowballing, right? You just pick this one debt and put all of your energy into it. And the problem there was I couldn't. The same week I started getting medical bills in, I started getting my loans from college and med school, which have been deferred up until today. Yay. And so now I can't ignore the loans. I'm going to have to pay those as well, again, with the money that I don't have. And then again, what you're supposed to do if there's a big bill is you just change your budget and get rid of all extraneous things. But here's the thing, I'm a medical student, right? I'm living on ramen already. Like I haven't worked I haven't ever been paid for a job. I've been in school for 8 years. I don't have like a big expensive paycheck or a big expensive budget. It's like the bare minimum of life. It's not going to go down anymore. It's not like I'm wasting money on all kinds of crazy things. My $1,000 cars not worth all that much. And I don't own anything except books, which are not going to pay off this ginormous medical bill. So I had to get really creative really fast. And hopefully, if you're in a similar situation, this will help you out a little bit. So the first thing I'd say to do is when you're getting these medical bills in, if you're in a similar situation, read them carefully, really look through them and make sure that everything that's on them is legit. If you were in the hospital for 3 days and they charged you for 5 days stay, like, sometimes there really is just a typo or something can be charged wrongly. And I'd really if you have questions about something, I'd run it by someone who's in medicine, someone who knows the situation, right? Like, so my friend had a surgery and has sutures written on his list, and he's like, "I don't have sutures. They use glue." And I'm like, well, what happens is they opened up this, kit for your surgery, and that kit included sutures in case they needed them. They didn't use them, but because it was part of the kit, they charged you for the whole thing. So that is a legit charge, even if they didn't actually use them. Sorry, that's one of those they're there in case of emergency types of things. There's a lot of those in medicine. Part of why it's so hard to pay off bills. But anyway, read carefully. It's like delivering a baby, right? You've got these like all these bills for like in case something goes wrong. So some of them are legit, but some of them are not. Read them really carefully. The second thing I'd say to do is wait for all the bills. I had no idea this was a thing. I had no idea bills came separately until this experience, right? So things usually get separated quite a bit. So if you went to the ER, it's going to be a separate bill. If you somehow used an ambulance or like a helicopter or whatever to get there, that's a separate bill. A procedure is probably a separate bill. Your doctors that visit you are probably a separate bill. Sometimes radiology is a separate bill, any imaging they did. And then sometimes specialists are a separate bill as well. And this is why our medical care is just so ridiculously complicated. But all of these people work for different companies. And so they're being billed out separately to you. So the initial $57,000 was, of course, not it, right? I ended up with over $80,000 worth of medical bills once I got all of the bills in. So wait for all the bills, keep calm, take deep breaths. You're going to be okay. So the next step is to kind of wait for insurance. And if you have insurance is the key. I unfortunately did not have insurance. Now, I was one of those many, many people who, for the first 25 years of my life, had had insurance and was totally healthy and said, I can make it 6 months without insurance until I start my new job. It'll be fine. And of course, it wasn't. It was really, really bad. So if you do have insurance, sometimes they'll send you the bill and then the insurance claim will look at it later and send you a new bill that's actually less. So that's actually a good thing. My saving grace kind of came in at this point. So I didn't have medical insurance, but as a medical student, there was evidently a catastrophic illness policy at my medical school. Like what? Like in case I got seriously ill, they would pay some of the bills. And so even though I didn't think I had insurance, it actually was applied and did decrease the bills. So then I was probably down to like $15,000 of my own money. But again, I don't have a job and that's kind of a lot of money. So so here's the point when you've gotten all the bills in, this is the point where you talk to the hospital. I know that sounds daunting and I know you think that they're not going to help you at all, but eh, sometimes horrible things happen and hospitals have to deal with this all the time, okay? They probably have multiple policies and multiple options for you to either apply or just ask for a discount. So most hospitals will have it'll either be called like a charity policy, an uninsured discount, some kind of discount option. So sometimes they can literally just cut the bill back because of that, but you have to talk to them. You can't just avoid them and assume it's going to go away. It's not. They're not going to apply it for you. You have to literally call them. And if nothing else, they can split it into payments. The only good thing about medical bills is they do not have interest applied. So unlike your loans and your mortgage and your card, all that stuff, the bill is never going to get bigger. The $10,000 gets split. For me, it got split into 3 years worth of payments, and that's it, right? And generally, these are all of this whole section, applying for forgiveness, things like that, is all based on like your income, your if you have kids, things like that. And again, hospitals do this all the time. Do not be afraid to ask. Okay. So the next thing I'd say is to hang in there, but you really need to remake your budget. If you don't have a budget, this is definitely time to make a budget. But I had a budget. I couldn't live on it anymore. I had too many other things that needed to go in. So I made what I would call like an emergency budget. So make a temporary plan for how you're going to pay all your bills for a few months or for a few years. This is not going to be how you live for the rest of your life. It's not like a life sentence. But just keep in mind that if you don't have a plan, you're never going to be able to get through it. Now, medical bills can be crazy. These literally can destroy your life, right? Like, I think medical bills are the number one cause of people going into bankruptcy, right? And so, I mean, I, medical school, college, like I had plans for my life. Everything was so organized. I had plans for how to pay off my loans. Like I thought I had everything written out and like regularly strategically planned, and this screwed me over just mentally because it was so far outside of what I expected for my life, right? And so don't let that break you. Don't let the fact that this is unexpected, that this is huge, that it is sometimes unfair, right? Like sometimes they're like, why on earth are you charging me for sutures you didn't even use on me, right? Like sometimes they're just literally unfair. Whatever you went through, I am so sorry. But don't let this break you. Okay. I know what it's like to be sitting at home with $80,000 worth of bills and no paycheck. It's not fun, but you can do this. You can get out of this, and this is not the end. So that's a really important thing to make keep in mind. So the way that I did this is I had to reorganize the way I was thinking about everything. I had to spend a whole lot more money on myself, which was weird for me. I had to spend more money on food, more money on medicine, more money on supplements than I ever had before, but I had to do it so that I could get better. And so I literally had to remake my budget, including like I have to go to the doctor, I have to go to the counselor, I have to pay for this imaging again. And then that became one of the biggest parts of my budget. Then obviously I had my loan payments, the least I could possibly pay. But then I had my medical bills, the most realistic thing that they could give me to pay off. And then I also had a little thing called extra, and this is kind of how I ended up paying things off. This was not the same amount of money every month, but basically, if I had extra, it would go to a certain thing. If there was something important coming up, like if there was a Christmas holiday coming up and I needed a plane ticket or something to go home, it would go to that. But if not, it goes to your bills. It goes to your medical bills. So for me, my initial plan had been pay off my loans in 10 years, but I had to really decrease loans on my list of worries. It became like number 20 instead of number 1, and the medical bills really jumped up higher. Now again, these don't have interest, so you don't have to pay them off that quickly. But again, if you don't keep them in your mind when you are getting extra money or you are getting a bonus or you do get an extra job that you work for the weekend, you can only pay them off if you pay them off. So keep them as a priority, and it'll help you to pay them off a little bit quicker. Okay. Um, this is the point as well where I almost quit medicine. I guess I should be really honest. Sitting at home and being like, they're not going to let me back into this job. I'm going to go join American Idol. I like literally was going to go try out for American Idol. And my friend was going, they were coming to Nashville. It should have been so easy. I started rehearsing my song, and I remembered that I had had pneumonia, bilateral pneumonia, and I could no longer breathe well enough to get the song out. Um, instead of trying out for American Idol, I tried some other things, found some other, temp jobs, babysitting, like, really little random things that I could get some money from. Um, it's really easy to get desperate and kind of just run away from everything, right? Like, I wondered if this was a sign that I should just be done with medicine. But thankfully, I did not take a, mountain, a hill, a setback as my life sentence. And so you need to get creative, but don't get desperate, right? Like, you need to think differently, but don't make dumb mistakes that kind of mess you up more, right? Like, you're not in a great situation, but that doesn't mean you can't get out. So, last thing to say is just hang in there. I know this is frustrating. I know this is hard. This is a point for me where God really showed up. I, went down to assistance with to try and get financial assistance from the government. One of the many reasons I hate working with the government is they were like, we're not giving you anything. It's like, I don't have a job. But they were going by the salary that I'd been promised, even though I wasn't being paid. Right. And so I really had nothing and really was so frustrated, but, had a lot of friends from church that were really praying for me, really blessed me over those couple of weeks, and thankfully, really worked out things like the catastrophic insurance kit coming in, that really saved my life. And then the company I was working for also stepped in and decided to give me a paycheck by taking away my vacation for the rest of the year. So I got 3 weeks worth of paycheck so that I could make it through those months that I was pulled off work. It's not everything, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't beautiful, but thankfully God showed up in the middle of the craziness, in the middle of the storm, and really kind of showed me that I'm not alone, that I can make it, really kind of gave me the faith to believe in myself again and believe in him that, this is gonna be okay. As bad as it looks right now, it's not the end. So, I hope that encourages you. Let me know if you've got questions, specifically, about any of these steps. This is kind of like the general way that I think about it, so I hope it helps you kind of, um, keep focused and get back in there if you're looking at a huge medical bill. Um, yeah, and here I'll just share one of my favorite songs just that kind of got me through this time in case it encourages you. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, and I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there is no one there to dry your tears, then I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. And I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. Go to the ends of the earth for you. Oh, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. Hang in there. You can do this. Have a good one.